Hey, welcome to Fun&Gun. Had a pretty cool opportunity to be able to compare a Stealth Arms Platypus to a Fusion Firearms XP Pro. I want to say a big thanks to my buddy Brian for letting me borrow his Platypus and my buddy Robert for the XP Pro here. So we're going to go ahead and show you that these guns are unloaded here. Nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine here. Same goes for the XP Pro, nothing in the chamber, nothing in the magazine. Then we're going to give you a brief look at what these guns come with in the box here. You do get a hard case with your XP Pro that is cut out to accept all of the accessories that this gun comes with. And you're going to get a baggie of little screws and a tool to mount the optics plates to this gun, and another pin here, which I believe is if you want to remove the magwell. And then you're going to get a nice cleaning kit here with a nylon brush, a brass brush, a mop, two little rods there so you can extend this out to use this as a handle to clean the gun. So nice cleaning kit comes with this particular gun. You're going to get two Glock style magazines that are not in no way branded Glock, but look identical to a Glock magazine, so I don't feel like you're going to have any problems with those. So you get two 17 round magazines. You're going to get two optics mounting plates for this gun that are steel. They have the red dots that mount to them lasered onto the back of them, and you're going to have a nice metal rear sight there, so you're not going to lose your co-witness with either one of those. And then in the top there, you're going to have your instructions and some pamphlets. So that's what you get with your with your Fusion Firearms. So with the Stealth Arms Platypus, you're going to get a nice soft case that is embroidered Stealth Arms there. Has a few pockets for magazines. Inside here, you're going to have your manual, your lock, and just more brochures and whatnot. And then you're going to have a little baggie. It's going to have all your screws for mounting different optics. You're going to have the optics cover plate in there currently because it does have a red dot on that particular gun right now. And it does have its own rear sight on there. We'll get that more in a second when we get to the gun portion of the video. And then you're also going to get a pin there if you want to remove the magwell. And you're also going to get two 15 round magazines that are actually factory Glock magazines. And I didn't even know this existed because right here is a standard Glock 17 magazine that is 17 rounds. Here is the one that comes with the Fusion, which is also a 17 round magazine. So I did not know that they actually made a factory 15 round Glock magazine that was made for a Glock 17. I knew they made 10 round ones, but this one actually I took the base off of, and it does indeed have a little plug right here that prevents you from putting more rounds in it. So if you, like me, didn't know about that, or you just have more information why they even make this, and I guess why they decided to ship these with the Platypus, you can drop that in the description because I'm pretty darn curious about that. But either way, you get two 15 round magazines, which, like I said, is pretty weird. Let's go ahead and bring the guns back up on the table. We'll get into comparing them here, kind of piece by piece, and go over what parts I don't like, what I do like about each gun here. So we're going to start off with the safeties here. They both have nice and positive safeties in both directions. Now the one on the Platypus here is nice and slim and extremely tiny, I guess, in my opinion. Like, it is ambidextrous, and it is the same size on both sides, and so is the one on your Fusion Firearms here. And as you can see there, it's quite a bit larger than the one on the Platypus. And it is the same size on both sides on this gun as well, other than it is cut out right here to clear your little detent pin housing right there. But safety-wise, I do prefer the throw levers on the Fusion here. So safety is going to go to the Fusion Firearms there. Let's see here. Go ahead and talk about the grips here a little bit, the way they're mounted here, or the lack of mounting on the Platypus here. This is a monolithic lower half of the gun, meaning the frame and the grip are one piece, and on the Fusion it's more of a standard 2011 style, with the frame being this part right here and the grip slipping on and being screwed on with these nice looking screws. Like I mentioned in the original video on this gun, or my full length video of this gun, it does have a nice looking screw versus most 2011s you get. Now while I'm talking about that, I do have a full length review on this gun and the Platypus that'll be linked at the end of this video if you're interested in just kind of looking at more in depth of just the gun itself, or each gun by themselves. So you're gonna get a monolithic grip versus a two-piece setup on the Fusion. No preference there, both shoot just fine. Could have the possibility of changing grips on the Fusion in the future, I guess, if they ever come out with anything different that you're not gonna be able to do with the Platypus, which I guess let's go ahead and talk about the grip itself, because you're not really gonna have no reason to need to change the Platypus in my opinion, because this is the aggressive grip on this particular gun. This was, I forgot to mention this, this is one of the pre-built guns that you can pick up right off their website when they're in stock, and this is how they set them up from the factory. Minus this had a curved trigger shoe in it, and we put a flat face one in it. It's made by them as well. We'll get to that more when we talk about the trigger, but grip wise here, this is their aggressive grip texture. And I will say this does not hurt your hands in no way, and is actually one of the best grip textures on any gun I've ever put in hand. The grip itself has a nice kind of contour to it. Fits very well in my hands. Really like this grip a lot, and if you watched my original video on this gun, I mentioned that as well in it, because this grip just feels absolutely awesome in my opinion. And that is kind of one thing I will say that the Fusion is kind of lacking in, is in the texture of the grip department here. Feels fine in the hand. It is a 2011. It's going to point pretty well the same as most of them. I will say that texture-wise, this right here on the front strap doesn't do much of nothing to me, and this on the back side here on your mainspring housing also pretty much does nothing for me, and it is kind of recessed and the grip kind of comes up over it a little bit. Kind of odd how that's set up. But then your side panels, they look pretty cool, but I feel like there's also not a whole lot of grip texture in those as well. So overall, I guess when you're pushing your hand into it right there, it grips pretty nicely, but I feel like this side where my hand's sitting at, it's not doing pretty much nothing. So Fusion Firearm, the grip is a little bit slippery in my opinion for my likings. So grip texture is going to go to the Platypus, and I guess overall just pointability and just the way it feels in my hand, I like the Platypus better. So let's see here. Grip safeties, would have preferred both of them not to have grip safeties, or at least pin them, but they are both smooth. They're both, you know, tuned well. I didn't have any issues with either one of them, so no preference between the two on that. I will say the one on the Fusion is set a little bit stiffer in the spring department there. You could take the mainspring out and tune that later if you want to, but I do prefer how this is tuned from the factory. But both of them have memory bumps on them. Neither one of them have hot spots on them, so that is fine. I guess while we're talking about the grips, neither one of the guns have hot spots on them. Everything is nice and contoured on the safeties and everything, so no hot spots on either one of them. Go ahead and flip this over. We'll go ahead and do a quick magazine release comparison here, which is kind of disappointing on both of them because neither one of them is threaded for an extended button, which is something I knock all the 2011s for. They don't have that because it's such a cheap thing to do, but they both do have grip texture on them. The texture on the Fusion is a little bit larger, not a big difference. They're both smooth, and I don't believe you can change either one of them because they are contoured on the inside to fit a Glock magazine, so a standard 2011 one is not going to work, I wouldn't believe. And while we're talking about parts that are proprietary to the guns, we're going to get into the slide release, which is something on the Fusion that I definitely do not like. So let's go ahead and start off the Platypus here. As you can see there, it's a more standardized looking slide release. Got a nice little shelf there, releases the slide just fine. I can pretty easily get my thumb to a point where it's not going to interfere with it locking the gun open. Now right there, my thumb is touching it, but it's not real bad, and this gun I hadn't had issues with it not locking open. Now we're going to go over to the Fusion here, and this is something that if you've watched my original video on this, I absolutely do not like, is the slide release right here. And that is because, as you can see there, kind of doesn't matter unless I kind of just move my thumb way down here. My thumb's going to be touching that, and not only does it rub the inside of my knuckle right there on my thumb, it does prevent the gun from locking open, and I had that happen quite a few times. Would have rather seen them kind of just do away with this whole protrusion right here. Maybe if they wanted to extend it, put it over the top of the housing right here a little bit, or just leave that alone. I feel like that little spot right there would have been plenty enough as a slide stop. But I will say, as a slide stop, it does work very well for that because it is absolutely huge. It just digs into my hand. So depending on your hand size, this could be a problem for you. It could be not even a factor for you. But for me, I do not like the slide release on the Fusion, and quite a few other people that we had shooting this gun were also having issues making it lock open. So could be an issue for you. Let's see here. While we're talking about the grips, we'll go ahead and talk about the Magwells, because that is something I do like about the Fusion over the Platypus here, which is something I mentioned I'm not liking about this in the original video. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring the mags back in here. This is the magazine that comes with this particular gun. Now I will say the one thing is these mag bases do need to be a little bit larger, because as you can see there, it's pretty much flush with the bottom of the gun. So when you go to slap that in there, your hand does kind of hit the Magwell a little bit. So it is nice to have an extended one to get you a little bit more leverage to make sure the magazine is fully seated in there. But what they did right here is they contoured this part right here to where it's not going to dig into my hand when I slap that magazine into the gun. And that is not something that they apparently cared about at all on the Platypus here, because right here with a factory mag base, your hand is getting all kinds of dug into by these two little points on both sides of the Magwell there. And that is kind of helped by this extended mag base to keep you from having that issue. But would have preferred them on the Platypus to go ahead and round those two edges off, but for some reason they did not do that. So Magwell, as of that fit and feel, prefer the one on the Fusion here, and it's actually a little bit bigger, as you can see now. I'm not sure if that could possibly be a problem fitting it into a competition box such as an EPA one, but this being a 4 1/4 gun, I don't think that would be too big of an issue. Don't believe it's too wide either. So you got a nice blended Magwell there. Works just fine. While we're talking about the Magwells and the grip, it does have a protrusion on both of them that's going to push your hand up into the undercut on the slide or the frame right there. So if you got large hands, that's going to help lock this gun into your hand. And the Fusion also has that as well, and it's a little bit larger on the Fusion. Now I will say this edge right here could have been rounded off a little bit more and made that a little bit more comfortable, but it's not a big deal. It's not sharp or anything. It's just kind of odd when you grip a hold of it. And it is also undercut right there. The Fusion also has a little bit of grip texture on the front of the trigger guard, and the Platypus does not. But I will say that grip texture does not do hardly nothing. So if you're looking to grip the front of the trigger guard, that's going to be about equal. Trigger guard wise here, the one on the Platypus, you're going to have a larger hole right here because this part right here is not milled out and this is more squared off. So if you're wearing gloves, this is probably going to be a little bit easier to get your finger into than the one on your Fusion here. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and go to the triggers on these two particular guns. Gun, like I said, is unloaded. You got just a touch of take up, nice clean break, nice positive reset there, ready to go again. So Platypus has a nice smooth trigger. The weight on this trigger from the factory is around, I believe it was, let's see, I'm not going to sit here and do a full-on comparison trigger gauge pulling here and do a comparison because I did that off camera. I'll go ahead and insert that off to the side here to save some time. But I believe this was around 2.1, 2.5 pounds. So this trigger is roughly a pound lighter than the one on the Fusion here. It was around 3.1 pounds, 3.5 pounds, I believe. Like I said, I'm going to insert this off to the side so you can take a look at that. But trigger weight wise, Platypus is definitely lighter, and it's kind of interesting because this is the one that is advertised as 3 to 3.5 pounds from the factory, but it did come in with a nice clean trigger. And like I said earlier, the only thing we did change here is this gun did come with a curved trigger shoe. We put the flat one in there, which is my preference and his as well. So I guess as of right out of the box, the Fusion's trigger shoe wins on that because I do prefer a flat trigger shoe. But you do have the option of changing this, and I don't know what options you have on the Fusion yet, but you can get this in different lengths, different colors, quite a few different things. This gun is extremely customizable, I guess, if we're going to get into that, because this gun, when we start getting into some of the other features here, that doesn't kind of compare, because there is so many different options of this gun. You can get different grip textures, different dust covers, different slides, different red dot cuts, different colors of everything on this gun. But this is the pre-built gun, so we're kind of going to compare the features of it. Now, we will say this one has a full-length dust cover on it. This is a 5-inch gun. This is a 4 1/4, so there's a little difference there. But you can get the 4 1/4 variation of the Platypus and all the same differences here. You can get a short cover, a full-length dust cover, a short dust cover, no pick rail on both short and long, and then you can get multiple different slide cuts and everything on the Platypus, different red dot cuts. I guess while we're talking about the red dot cut, this one is cut for an RMR footprint, footprinted red dot only. And like I mentioned with the XP Pro, you are going to get 2 optics plates. So you're going to be able to put a variety of different dots on this gun right off the bat, depending on which variation of the Platypus you get, you're going to be limited to whatever it is cut for. Now, cleanness of the red dot mount, this being flush with the side of the gun, is going to be a nicer look because there is no optics plate, and it's probably going to be a more secure fit because you have less screws and whatnot to deal with there. So overall mounting of the optics is going to go to the Platypus just because it is a clean looking mount, but overall availability and ease of changing dots is going to go to the Fusion because you have a lot more options right off the bat. But like I said, you can order this with multiple different cuts. You can also order the front of the gun with multiple different cuts and just the overall slide look in general. But this is the one I prefer. It has a nice set of front slide serrations there. I like the little cut there, the little window. The slide serrations work just fine on this particular gun. And I will say that is something this gun also kind of lacks in, is the front slide serrations. As you can see there, my hands are just sliding right over there, and I'm grabbing onto that pretty darn tight just to show you there, but I can just slide my fingers right over that. I will say that these little cuts do look pretty cool though. And back slide serrations, they're not too bad. My hands slip off them a little bit too. Platypus ones are just fine. But really, if you're gonna put a red dot on this, I prefer to rack the gun like that anyways, with my hand up against the red dot. So not a big deal, but slide serrations, at least in the case of this slide, are better than the ones on the Fusion. And like I said, you can get a variety of different dust covers. On this one, you're just stuck with the short dust cover. As you can see there, that is not part of your slide. It is a clean look. I like how that cuts off. It looks pretty nice, but you're gonna have enough pick rail there to mount whatever you want on it. And this, you're gonna have an excess pick rail, because I'm pretty sure you're not pretty much gonna use any of this. It's more just for weight and actually, I guess, just for looks, I guess, because I don't know what you need to mount way out here. So pick rail, you got plenty of pick rail, do whatever you want to. If you're looking for more weight, you're gonna be able to get that with the Platypus. Let's see here. I guess let's go ahead and talk about fit of the gun. You're gonna have a little bit of slide wobble there, but the barrel lockup is absolutely perfect. The slide fit is pretty well perfect as well. You're gonna have a nice reversed plug on the front. This is a bushingless bull barrel that also requires you to put a little pin through the guide rod to disassemble it, or you could thread it in half. Either way, it's easier, in my opinion, to put the pin through there, and that's the exact same way you're going to disassemble your Fusion here as well. There's a little hole there to put such like a paper clip or just a little tool down into. This is also a bushingless bull barrel. Now, I will say I did notice there's a little bit more play in the fitment of the barrel to the front of the slide here. You also get a nice bushingless, a reverse plug there, and there is just a little bit of movement in the barrel back here. So fitment of the barrel, at least in the case of these two guns, is going to go to the Platypus. Now, I didn't see anything wrong with this gun. It functioned just fine. It was plenty accurate, but the barrel is tighter fit on the Platypus. Let's see here. So overall, smoothness for the slide, both guns are pretty much on par with each other, but I will say that everything I mentioned about the Platypus versus this gun, there is a pretty steep price difference on these guns. Now, I will say that you can get this in a variety of different pre-built variations for different prices. You can get this custom ordered, so that's going to change the price as well. This gun comes in silver and black, and I believe the silver one may be a little bit cheaper. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember, but this comes in at an MSRP of $1,200. This variation of the gun was $1,850, so I do expect that this gun should have a few things that are slightly nicer than this gun just right off the bat, but that's not to say this is a bad gun. It's a very good shooting gun, really nice looking gun. Got a lot of nice features with it, especially for its price point in the 2011 game in general, and the fact that it takes Glock magazines is going to open you up to have a high variety of different magazine options for it and the Platypus as well. So really, I guess it comes down to whichever one your preference is and kind of which one you want to spend your money on. I feel like if you spend the extra money on the Platypus and you have it, you're definitely going to like this gun. And if you just want a nice gun, you don't want to spend a ton of money, you're going to like this gun. There's, like I said, there's just a few shortcomings with it. It mainly being this slide release. I feel like, I guess if you wanted to, you could cut that off and then just paint it back black, which was probably exactly what I would have done if this was my gun. Then I guess you could always put some sandpaper tape on the grip to give you a little bit more texture, or you could just do what I did and run some of that like liquid chalk stuff on your hands so my hands weren't sweaty and my hands fit down on that gun just fine. So overall, both nice guns for what they are. And good price point for what it is, good price point for what it is. Extremely customizable. Cool for the fact that it takes Glock magazines, comes in at a good price. So it's really up to you which one of the two guns that would work for you. I just figured I would show you all the stuff up close on the guns, kind of talk about what I do and don't like about both of them. So it kind of help you make the decision on which one of the guns that you might want that takes Glock magazines. And that's all I had for you today. Okay, if you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you're looking for more Fun and Gun right now, you can click one of the 2 recommended videos there. If you're looking for more Fun and Gun later, you can go ahead and click that there subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're finding me from Facebook, go ahead and click that open app button at the top to make all that a lot easier. And I'll see